All right, today we're diving into something really cool, an educational experiment that pretty much throws out the traditional rulebook. Just picture this: university students ditching the lecture hall to go live and work in a rural village. And they're not just there to watch. They're becoming real partners, learning, collaborating, and actually creating lasting change.
But first, let's back up and ask a question that I think is on a lot of our minds. I mean, is a university degree really enough anymore on its own? In a world that's changing this fast, what does a meaningful education even look like?
Well, it turns out students today are looking for so much more than just a piece of paper. They're hungry for purpose. They want to see how what they're learning in class actually connects to real-world problems. They're craving a genuine connection to a community, and really, they want to build skills for a life that feels meaningful. Okay, so the big question is, how do we build an education system that can actually do all that? Well, the answer might lie in completely redefining what we think innovation means. It's about this radical idea of turning the entire world into our classroom. And this isn't some brand new idea. Check out this quote from way back in 1999 by Her Royal Highness Princess Maha Chakri Surendorn. She basically said that real innovation isn't about shiny new tech, it's about rethinking the entire system, our society, our economy, our culture. It's a huge shift in how we even think about learning. So that kind of thinking leads us straight to this concept called place-based learning. And the idea is, honestly, it's pretty simple but also really profound. You take a community with all its history, its culture, its unique challenges, and you turn that into the main textbook. Suddenly, learning is rooted in a real place with real people and, real problems to solve. Okay, so to really see how this works, let's jump into a real-life case study. We're looking at a rural development course from Chulalongkorn University and their living laboratory, a community in Thailand called Bo Phan Khan.
Now, Bo Phan Khan has a really dramatic story. For centuries, this place was a single, unified community, famous as a major salt producer with these incredibly deep traditions. But then, bam, in 1981, a dam project created a reservoir, and it completely changed everything. The salt fields? Gone, replaced by a fishery and a tourist spot. And that whole traditional way of life, it just started to fade away. But the changes weren't just about the landscape. The real kicker? New administrative lines were drawn on a map, literally splitting the community right down the middle. All of a sudden, people who'd been neighbors, even family for generations, found themselves in different districts. And that created this us versus them feeling. Conflicts started popping up over shared resources. So that was the super complex situation these students were walking into.
So how in the world do you even begin to tackle something like that? Well, they didn't just parachute in with a bunch of pre-made solutions. Nope. Instead, they went on this really methodical 6-step journey of discovery. Okay, let's break this down because this is so important. This was not just a field trip, right? This was serious academic work. They used a formal research cycle. It all starts with inquiry, just being curious and asking questions. From there, they narrowed it down to a core research question. Then came the data collection, interviewing villagers, mapping the area. After that, they had to analyze everything, looking for patterns. And this is the key part. They had to connect the theories from their textbooks to the messy, complicated reality they were seeing. And then, the final crucial step, sharing all that knowledge back with the community that had been their teachers. And all that research, it led to some incredible, tangible projects. Working side by side with the villagers, the students helped develop some amazing things. Like, they created a brand for a local fermented fish product called Ocha Matcha. They helped promote homestay tourism businesses. They even designed better waste management systems for the tourist areas. And they dug into the past, too, reviving the history of the ancient salt production and documenting traditional herbal medicine. I mean, this is learning that actually leaves something valuable behind. So you can see the impact here goes way beyond just a single project or a final grade for a course. It's more like a ripple effect, right? It created a wave of change that really touched everyone who was part of it. Let's start with the students. For them, this experience was absolutely transformative. I mean, think about it. They gained those crucial 21st century skills we're always talking about: critical thinking, collaboration, communication, but not by reading about them in a textbook. They learned them by actually doing them. They finally saw a direct line between their college major and making a real-world impact. And along the way, they developed this deep respect for cultural diversity and found a whole new sense of purpose for their future careers. But here's the thing. This was not a one-way street. The community wasn't just some subject to be studied under a microscope. No way. They were active partners in this, and they gained a ton from the whole experience too. For one, the students brought in all this fresh energy and new ideas. The community got a platform to share their stories to make sure their history wasn't forgotten. This whole collaboration sparked a renewed sense of pride in their local identity, and it helped them build stronger networks for sustainable development. The learning was absolutely flowing in both directions. So, if we zoom out for a second beyond just the students and this one village, you start to see that this model has huge implications for higher education as a whole. What we're looking at here is basically a blueprint. It proves that universities don't have to be these isolated ivory towers. They can be powerful engines for sustainable community development. By getting their hands dirty and engaging directly with local challenges, universities can play a massive role in hitting those big global goals, like the UN's goal for quality education. And that really brings us to our final thought. Because this isn't just a fascinating story about a village in Thailand, it's a challenge, really. It's an invitation for all of us to look at our own neighborhoods, our own towns and cities, and see them not just as places we live, but as living, breathing classrooms. So what hidden lessons does your community hold?